Hello and welcome to the Toledo According to podcast. I'm Riley Runnells, assignment editor of the Toledo City paper, and I will be interviewing some of Toledo's most influential and impactful residents as they walk us through what Toledo means to them. Every episode will feature a new guest talking about their favorite Toledo attractions, businesses, restaurants, and experiences, with the hope of our audience learning more about the guest and finding more gems of Toledo. This episode, I am joined by Sandy Spang, the current president of the Toledo Metropolitan Area Council of Governments, or TMACOG. Spang received a bachelor's degree from Bowling Green State University and is a former independent at-large member of the Toledo City Council, serving from 2013 to 2020. She previously served as the Deputy Director of Economic Development for the City of Toledo, and Spang, who is also a business owner, spent her time on council and with the administration focused on finding ways to help entrepreneurs support their businesses and access programs designed to support their success. She worked with the Economic Development team to create and update grant programs that help business owners offset costs for fire, accessibility, and building code upgrades. Spang is a certified Ohio economic developer who has served on the National League of Cities Community and Economic Development National Committee. She's also a founding member and co-chair of the Northwest Ohio Women's Business Council and a board member for Lot Industries. She has long been an advocate for regional planning and partnership and has participated in TMACOG as a member of the Leadership Development Committee and Executive Committee, and has been an advocate for planning and partnership at the regional level as well. Okay, welcome back to the Toledo According to podcast. I'm here with Sandy Spang. Sandy, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great, Riley.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're so excited to hear about what Toledo means to you and the little pieces of Toledo that you love. So first, the readers and listeners want to get acquainted with you. So talk a little bit about your occupation, your story, how you got here. Just give us a sense of who you are.
Well, I was born in Toledo and attended Toledo Public Schools, Heather Downs Elementary, Bowser High School, Bowling Green State University graduate. Might surprise some people that I was an art student, a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and my area of specialization was jewelry and metalsmithing.
Oh, wow.
And glass on metal, to be specific. And I spent 17 years working in the jewelry industry and actually had certification as a gemologist.
Wow.
And so fast forward many years later, a lot of people know that I was on Toledo City Council for 6 years, and following that was in the administration for the City of Toledo, working in economic development, specifically with small businesses. And today I am the pretty new executive director of the Toledo Metropolitan Area Council of Governments.
Awesome. That's awesome. And you are, honestly, I said this before the interview, but you are an every woman. I feel like you do so many different things and span so many different areas of Toledo. So first, I'm curious, though, how you went from the jewelry business into kind of this political realm.
Sure. Well, when we began our family, I wanted to be able to be home more, and so my husband and I had begun investing in rental properties, commercial and residential rentals. And so through that experience, I was often interacting with the City of Toledo and different departments. And so I often thought, boy, there ought to be more small business representation on City Council. And I'd been friends with Rob Ludeman, longtime City Council member for many years. We knew each other from the neighborhood and from school. And he used to say, you ought to run for City Council. And because it wasn't the right time in my life to do that, I'd say, no, that is not what I should do. But when my children left for college, and it just seemed like the right moment, and I had some thoughts about things that I thought should happen in the city, I decided that I would go ahead and do that. And so that kind of, one thing leads to another, right?
Right.
And so then, yeah.
I've been personally very excited for this interview because I think, everyone has different perspectives of Toledo, but to have somebody who was not only born and raised in Toledo and stayed in Toledo, but also who has served in a way that you can make change within the city and you can directly affect what happens in the city. I think that's so fascinating to kind of figure out what Toledo means to you and the things that you wish to see happen here, and the ways that you have seen it grown over the years. So can you talk a little bit about your perspective on how serving on city council and then now being with TMACOG, how that has really just kind of shaped your outlook on Toledo?
Sure. You should never think that the small thing that you're going to do won't make a difference. And to go a little deeper into what really spurred me to run for city council, I had bought a building in the Beverly neighborhood, a really nice neighborhood, but there was this little retail strip that was really dilapidated. Most of the shops were vacant, but you knew that at one time that was really the heart of the neighborhood, right. That there'd been vibrant stores in there. And so I went to the city of Toledo and got a small facade grant, but didn't use it just for my building, but parceled it out to the other buildings along there. And we revitalized that little strip, and now we have Play 21 Coffee, which is my business, but we also have, there's been a Pilates studio there, there's Olive Deli, there is currently there's an interior designer who has some home products, Printed on a Lark, which is a great shop, and they have some other wonderful homemade or handmade Toledo type items, and there are some other wonderful little businesses there. And that really inspired me that there are little retail strips like that all throughout Toledo that need that same kind of revitalization. So to show you kind of how that thread follows, when I was on city council, I really spoke a lot about the need for helping small businesses with code upgrades when they found that building that they really wanted to occupy in a neighborhood, but the code upgrades that older building required could be insurmountable.
Right.
They might have to put a sprinkler system into the building to meet fire code. They might have to add handicapped restrooms to meet accessibility codes, which we want those buildings to have those safety and accessibility improvements, but the costs are just insurmountable for a small business that really wants to be in that wonderful building. We want that preservation. We want that neighborhood to have that vitality, but how do we overcome that? So I spoke about that a lot, but it was then when I joined the Economic Development Department that I could develop the White Box program. And so you can kind of see how the thread follows through. Now here at TMACOG, I have a wonderful new opportunity to bring a new resource to our community. We're applying to have designation as an economic development district with the Economic Development Administration, and that's going to bring the ability for us to apply for Economic Development Administration grants that we've never been able to apply for in our region. And that will be for Lucas and Wood and Ottawa counties. And a study just came out that shows that economic development districts comprise 52% of the U.S. population, but they get 77% of the EDA grants. I'm very excited to bring this new resource to our region. It won't be a duplication of what is being done in economic development, but it will be a new tool that we can use to get projects done. And so you can see kind of how a thread follows through, and you can keep building on the projects that you do.
Absolutely. And is there a particular project that you feel that you worked on that you're very proud of that you would like to share with the listeners?
Oh boy, that is going to take me a moment because you feel so excited when you go to a ribbon cutting and you know how hard it's been as people have worked, through the process, because it's never easy to open a business. I always say it takes more money, more time, and more effort than you can ever imagine.
Right.
So, it's exciting when you work with an individual business, and I was so privileged to work on projects like Quenched and Tempered, the brewery, or Toll House, different projects that we're so excited to work with for facade grants or for White Box grants. But I think the thing that was really gratifying was when you could see consistently where businesses were struggling, that you could find ways to create maybe better systems or programs that would help them. One thing that I was able to work on when I was with the City of Toledo was a pre-development meeting program. So, large projects, I mean, if there was a Jeep expansion, they were going to be able to have a pre-development meeting where we would bring everyone from all the different departments of the city together, whether it was the water department, the planning and zoning, building inspection, engineering services, to look at their plans and work with them. But to do that for the smallest project, to do that for a daycare owner, but why not? Those projects are often the ones that end up running into problems. And so we developed a program. You can go on the City of Toledo website and you can request at no charge a pre-development meeting for your project, for your business project, for whether it's, you're opening up a small restaurant, a daycare, whatever it is. And so I was very proud of that because I think that really brings an important service to that small business, that entrepreneur that's opening up a business. Another program that I was very excited about was Permit Planner. That sort of brings this sort of TurboTax style, interview style program to getting a permit. And it works whether it's residential, you're going to put up a fence and you're thinking, do I need a permit for that? You can go through and answer some questions and find out. Right. Same thing for a project, a commercial project. You can go in there and talk about what you're going to be doing, and it's going to not only tell you if you need a permit, but it's also going to tell you that maybe you're in an area where there's a tax abatement available, a community reinvestment area abatement, or maybe you're eligible for applying for the facade grant or the white box program. And so it's a really valuable tool. Very proud that we were able to do that. And then working with other partners in the entrepreneurial support community, we were able to launch the RAMP, which is one place that you can go and find all the supportive services in our area for entrepreneurs. And so 24 hours a day, because a lot of people start a business, it's sort of it's a side gig in the beginning.
Right.
So they may be looking at 2 a.m. for business resources. So this is something that's always there and always available. And so those were projects that I was really proud of. But I do love ribbon cuttings, and I was really proud to be able to attend a lot of ribbon cuttings where you could see that final project come together.
Absolutely.
Very exciting.
And I think the programs that you talk about are so important too, because there's a lot of jargon or, kind of those like red tapey type things that get in the way of people who want to be entrepreneurs, who want to start things and, are just unsure of where their first steps are. So I think stuff like that is very important. So thank you very much. And for the betterment of Toledo, it's an incredible thing. I'm curious, too, what the place in Toledo that you are the most proud of would be.
Well, I would say every one of those businesses that used a white box grant, I would certainly say is a place that is very near to my heart. Right. When people come to town, though, I think we all right now have to take people to Glass City Metro Park, don't we?
Yes.
And I just had the pleasure of having someone come to town who'd grown up in East Toledo and took them to Glass City Metro Park. And of course, that was wonderful to be able to show them that beautiful location. But I would say that on a personal level, that very first little strip over there at Beverly Place is on a personal level I still do feel great satisfaction that was kind of the place that started it and gave me a vision that we could do more to help other entrepreneurs in other neighborhoods.
Absolutely. And I want to talk a little bit about Play 21. So can you tell me a little bit about what you feel it brings to the community and how it kind of is elevating Toledo in different ways?
Sure. Well, so we just had our 14-year anniversay, which I always say coffee shop years are like dog years. So I think we've been, in business for about 100 years. Right. But, I think that, first of all, 14 years ago, Toledo did not have the vibrant coffee scene that it has now. Oh, my goodness, we have a wonderful coffee scene, and I love it. And I think it's great that for a city our size, we have wonderful coffee shops. But I think that coffee shops are a place that really bring community together. I've often said that that small businesses are like great nonprofits. They create jobs, They create a greater sense of community, and they actually create safer neighborhoods because they create that traffic, that foot traffic that makes neighborhoods feel safer.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, in the area, what the best meal that you've ever had was and where it was from.
So that's interesting. So I will tell you the best meal that I have ever had in Toledo was actually at my own wedding, and it was at the Hotel Sofitel, which had just opened, and it was very French at that time. Mm-hmm. Now, unfortunately, the Hotel Sofitel was not here very long.
Right.
But for that moment, it was wonderful. And it was very French, mm-hmm. and my mother-in-law was a great French cook. She actually studied in France, studied French cooking. And there were French baguettes crossed on the table. The main dish was coquille Saint-Jacques, and it was an absolutely beautiful meal, and that was an absolutely amazing place and an amazing moment in downtown Toledo. Yeah. But I would say that more recently, because that was a while ago, since I have 3 adult children, so that was a long time ago, I had my brother was in town last year around Christmas time, and we had a beautiful evening at Registry Bistro, and Chef Erica Rapp is a wonderful chef, and it was a special night, and it was a great evening. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, they just have incredible food there.
Yeah.
I want to know too, there's a lot of different events that happen in downtown Toledo or just kind of in the surrounding areas. What is your favorite annual event?
My favorite annual event is probably Mud Hens opening day.
Yes.
I am a baseball fan. I absolutely love baseball. So I would have to say it's a local holiday.
Right.
So
it's such a fun environment, and the streets are just filled with fans and all these people, and it's so fun. I love it. So obviously there are a lot of buildings downtown that are in use, that are not in use, that we are all very proud of in Toledo. So what is your personal favorite piece of local architecture?
So I'll give you a style of architecture that I think people don't think about in downtown Toledo much. Okay. Which is Art Deco. Mm-hmm. I love Art Deco. So the best example of Art Deco, I think, is our main library. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful example inside and out. And, even the renovations and additions to it fit so well with that Art Deco style. That frieze, when you go inside, is vitrolite. Right. And vitrolite is a type of glass, the pigmented glass that was made at Libby Owens Ford in Toledo, part of our history as the Glass City. And that frieze depicts all kinds of industry of man as it goes around. It's very beautiful. And so I love Art Deco, and I love that building. But there are some other examples. Mm-hmm. What we call the PNC building, and I think it was like originally the Second National Bank building or something. That's a great example of Art Deco. The professional building over by the museum where the symphony practices, and it's that small building, and I think that the Arts Commission is there and the symphony practice is there. That's a very beautiful example of Art Deco, but it's a smaller building. So the Collins Park water treatment plant, which is somewhere where most people don't get to go, but I've had the privilege of going there quite a few times. Mm-hmm. Actually has some really neat, it's like industrial Art Deco. Yeah. And they have some vitrolite in there and some of these really neat 1930s pieces of like equipment. They almost look like large pieces of furniture that are beautiful Art Deco pieces. And of course, my office is now in the train station in Union Station. This is an example of sort of Art Deco industrial design. So I would just say people do not think of Toledo as being a town with a lot of Art Deco examples, but we have some great ones, and I love a lot of our architecture. I mean, we have some fantastic bones, you could say. Definitely. But I would just point people to our Art Deco buildings as well.
For sure. And from the perspective of a jewelry maker, tell me where you would shop for local jewelry.
Oh, wow. So I haven't bought jewelry in a long time because when you've worked in that, I sort of have pieces that I bought when I, but I think now when I buy pieces, I want those locally made, or handmade pieces.
Yeah.
So I would probably be looking at the Toledo Museum of Art gift store. I would be looking at Crosby Garden.
Yes.
I would be looking at those places because I'm really more interested in those handmade pieces.
Mm-hmm. And with your busy schedule and everything you have going on, where do you find that you feel most calm when you're in Toledo?
Oh, this is easy for me. UT Rec Center swimming pool.
Really?
I have late in life taken up swimming. And my sons were swimmers when they were in high school, St. Francis Pool. Spent a lot of hours there, and I have taken up swimming. This was a major accomplishment. I do it very badly, but a few years ago, one of the UT swim team members taught some classes, and I asked her to teach me to do a flip turn. So if you're at the UT Rec Center and you see someone doing a really bad flip turn, but doing one, that's me. And it's just such a calm and peaceful thing to be swimming. So that's my place.
Very calm there
Yes,
for some reason, but it's a great facility.
It's a wonderful pool. I love it. Yep.
Absolutely. And what would you say the street that you drive or walk on most often would be?
I think it's Broadway.
Yeah.
Because my husband and I often will walk from our home down around around Walbridge Park, make that circuit. It's beautiful. You see the river. There's this really pretty garden right by the zoo. I think the zoo maintains it. So it's designed so that it's constantly changing from spring to fall. So we'll make that circuit in the evening, so Broadway, but I drive to work down Broadway. I ride my bike sometimes to the farmer's market down Broadway. So I would say Broadway's my street.
Absolutely. And you've been in Toledo for such a long time that you might not have an answer to this question, but out of curiosity, is there anything that you've always wanted to do in Toledo that you have not done yet?
I have never gone to one of the Ottawa Park concerts. They've got those concerts at Ottawa Park. I have never gone to one of those.
Oh, wow.
So I need to do that.
Absolutely.
That would, I think I better get to one of those.
For sure. What do you think the best view in Toledo is?
So, I used to say that it was the northeast corner of Government Center. Because when people would come to see me at the offices up there, I would take them. There's a conference room there, and you just get this panoramic view. You see why people who live in Point Place love Point Place, because you're seeing right out there to the lake. Right. Beautiful view of East Toledo, and it's just a really sort of panoramic view. Loved that view. But we're sitting in my office now, and you can see that we have a fantastic view of downtown Toledo from here. So I love that. And I think we've got a lot of great views in Toledo.
Absolutely.
We really do.
But yeah, this is a pretty spectacular view.
Yeah. So
seeing
view from the train station.
The older warehouse area, and then some of the newer infrastructure downtown. It's super nice. Yeah. So when you are away from Toledo, what is something that you cannot wait to have when you get back?
A great cup of coffee. Well, I hit a lot of other coffee shops too, because I have a lot of other meetings. So I would say, lately I've been to the same cafe. I'm highly recommending the same cafe at the library, but I also go to a lot of other coffee shops because I like to have meetings at coffee shops.
Of course.
Bluebird Studio. Bluebird Studio.
Bluebird Studio.
Give a shout out to Bluebird Studio.
Absolutely. And when you're craving blank, you go to blank.
When I'm craving Mexican food, I go to El Típico.
Absolutely. It's so delicious. And I think what's great, though, is we have a lot of amazing Mexican restaurants in the area. And I think generally for all food, what Kengo Cato's been doing for the sushi industry here, and with ramen and shobu at the casino and all that, that's incredible. But there's such a wide range of food diversity in this area, which I think is incredible. So I'm also wondering, this is a little bit of an interesting question, but if you knew you could get away with it, what would you do?
Oh, spend the night at the museum and sit on all that furniture that you're not allowed to sit on. I would drink a cup of coffee out of one of those, like the chalices you're not allowed to drink out of. Mm-hmm. And yeah, absolutely.
That sounds like an incredible evening, actually. Mm-hmm. And from your perspective, if Toledo had a new motto, what would it be?
Well, I say this all the time. I say things are happening in a lot of places, mm-hmm. but you can make things happen in Toledo.
Wow. Yeah, that's really powerful. I think I've talked with some of the other guests about how living in Toledo is really awesome because it's, simultaneously a city, but it's not as big as other cities like New York or LA, and you can kind of directly see the impact that you're having on the community with different, entrepreneurial pursuits, or with the work that you do within city council or other things like that. You can kind of directly see that impact.
Absolutely. It's the access that you can have here. If you have a great idea and you want to connect with somebody about that idea, in Toledo, you're able to make that connection. Someone's going to help you get in front of that person that you need to talk to. Toledo, access is easy, mm-hmm. and support for your idea is easy. So, yeah.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. And what would you say the most underrated thing in Toledo is?
Ooh. Well, we've always said that it's been our waterfront. Mm-hmm. It's always been our waterfront. Great cities throughout history have been built on rivers. But that's about to change. Mm-hmm. So it has been our most underrated asset, and that is about to change with the Glass City Riverwalk. Nice. And so I feel like every day, as more and more progress is made on the Riverwalk, we see that is changing a little bit more, and people are coming to appreciate what it means to be a city on a river.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for inspiration, be it for personal life or for your professional pursuits, do you have a particular spot that you like to go to kind of reflect or think?
Well, I think that being outdoors in nature is so critical. I think that's something that we really learned during COVID, right? We mm-hmm. spent more time outdoors. We saw national parks, visited so much more, and so I think just the idea of being outdoors. And I have the advantage in Toledo of actually living on a hill, and so overlooking a ravine, mm-hmm. which is a pretty good trick in Toledo to live on a hill. We're kind of flat here, so my own backyard is beautiful. The seasons are really pretty. So I will just sit outside in my own backyard, and it's really, really a great place for me to sit and reflect.
Absolutely.
Very fortunate that way.
And what is one thing about Toledo that you always brag about to other people?
Oh my goodness, we have so many great things. Let me think this one through. Our museum, one of the best endowed museums in the nation. Mm-hmm. Glass. I talk about our history as the Glass City. It's kind of interesting because we're the Glass City, both because of the glass manufacturing that happens here, but also the rebirth of the art glass movement happened mm-hmm. right here on the grounds of the Toledo Museum of Art. Right. So I am very proud of our history in glass. And so I think that our whole history as the Glass City is something that I am so very proud of. It is so unique, and it is so much about who we are. So I think our history in glass is what I'm really proud of.
Definitely. That's a lovely answer. No one's said that yet, so I love that.
And we have a future in glass. Mm-hmm. We continue to create beautiful things in glass. The manufacturing of solar panels is glass innovation. Right. So, we have a present in glass, a past in glass, and a future in glass.
Definitely. Who is a Toledoan that you most admire?
So she's a Toledoan from our history. Mm-hmm. But without question, it's Josina Lott. I think I knew Josina Lott's name before I knew Santa Claus's name. Josina Lott had a vision that individuals with developmental disabilities could do so much more and be so much more than at the time our society believed that they could be. And it is because of her that Lucas County was the first county in our country that offered educational and employment services to the families of individuals with developmental disabilities at no cost.
Wow.
We in Lucas County, we are pioneers in the world of developmental disabilities. And it was because of Josina Lott. She started teaching children at her kitchen table, and then Hefner School opened, and then Lark Lane School. And my brother Steve went to Lark Lane School, when he was 4 years old. And the moms all helped out, and I was the youngest child, so I often went along with my mom and went into the activities classes. I was very much influenced by being a sibling of a very special brother. And so his life was a part of that pioneering experience. He was able to be one of the first people to be able to go to school and to go to Camp Courageous and to have employment in the community. He used to work at Plate 21. He would come in, he would ride tarps in, and he would clean up tables, and it was just a wonderful thing to have him be able to work there with me. So I think that we should be so proud of that legacy, and we should continue to pioneer in our community in the area of disability opportunities and rights. And now we have some amazing self-advocates in our community. Right. So we should never forget that that's a part of who we are.
Absolutely. That's an incredible history and an incredible answer, too. And my last question for you is, tell me about one of your coolest memories of something really fun that you got to participate in or see while you've been in Toledo.
I have to say, being a teenager in Toledo in the 1970s was really pretty cool because, you get people started on the sports arena, the concerts. Concerts today are really, really expensive. But at that time, the concerts were inexpensive, but we all bought albums, right? And so we saw some great bands at the sports arena, and it was really fun. Every other weekend, you could go see Queen or Yes or Bob Seger over and over again, it seemed like. But that was fun. But, the 80s were the 80s were a really neat time in downtown Toledo. Party in the park, and, I talked about the Sofitel. That was a very neat time, a neat moment in downtown Toledo. I think we've made so much more permanent progress this time with downtown Toledo, but that was a special moment. This is a very strange, exciting experience that I had in Toledo. But when we were doing the Toledo Waterways Initiative, which was so important for the health of our river, and it helped take stormwater and sort places, Joey Brown Park had these enormous holding tanks created, and I was able to tour that when I was on council, and I felt like I was in the base of the Great Pyramids. So, but something you and I spoke about earlier when we walked into the train station here, and I will say that this is a more recent exciting experience that I had, was when the crew from the filming of A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks came and filmed here at the train station. And I was able to help somewhat with the logistics of they had to close some streets and things like that, and so I was out, and they said, well, you should come to the filming. And I thought, oh, well, okay. And it was so interesting. Just being able to watch all of these professionals. There were about 150 people who were all working at the same time, just doing different things that are key to filming. And so it was so interesting. And seeing our train station as it must have looked in the 1970s, because they had about 150 extras all in period costumes and all, moving through the station. Right. That was so exciting. And then later to watch the film, I was so proud of our station and of Toledo. Yeah. So that was a very fun experience recently that I was able to have, proving you just never know what experiences you're going to get to have in Toledo. So
right.
Very fun.
Who would have thought when you started in this industry that you were going to get to meet Tom Hanks?
That's right. Exactly.
Well, that is all for questions that I have, but is there anything else that you would like to share about your love for Toledo, or anything about your profession, any businesses, about Plate 21, anything else, feel free to share.
I'm just excited about this new opportunity that I have working with the wonderful professional staff here at TMACOG. They are really skilled transportation planners. We do water quality, which water quality is so key to the future of our region. But we think a lot here about the future of the region, right. And so this is really an exciting place for me to be right now. And so I just feel privileged that I've been able to be a part of the work that people are doing to make our community better. You know from the people that you interview that there are so many people that are doing so many things to move Toledo forward. And it's an exciting time to be in Toledo. Absolutely. And it's a privilege to be able to do this work. So I'm very grateful.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time to speak with us. We so appreciate it. And our listeners are very excited to get to know a little bit about what makes Toledo special for you.
Thank you.
Spang's work in the Toledo community is truly revered. Thank you for listening to the Toledo According to podcast. Make sure to check out the Toledo City Paper in print and online, as well as all of the publications under Adams Street Publishing, including Mature Living, Toledo Area Parent, Ann Arbor Family, Current, and Findlay Living. Find us on social media or connect with us if you have any story ideas to share.